You understand, sir, I get to ask the questions, you provide the answers. In this capacity, you're no longer in the United States Senate. You voted in 1999 to remove Bill Clinton from office on charges of perjury, correct?
That is correct. Nobody, not you or anyone else should be prosecuted, not me, or accused of perjury for answering the question the way I did in this hearing. I would say that's not fair, colleagues. That's not on any indication that I in any way participated in anything wrong.
The Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, up on Capitol Hill before the House Judiciary Committee. As we bumped in there, you saw the live picture of our town hall starting in just minutes. Also in that day-long testimony from the Attorney General, some questions about whether he is going to appoint a special prosecutor, a special counsel on some other investigations.
What's it going to take to actually get a special counsel?
It will take a factual basis.
And it sure looks like a major political party was working with the federal government to then turn an opposition research document, the equivalent of some National Enquirer story, into an intelligence document, take that to the FISA court so that they could then get a warrant to spy on Americans associated with President Trump's campaign. That's what it looks like.
The time of the gentleman
I would say
expired.
Looks like is not enough basis to appoint a special counsel.
Are you going to appoint one, as he promised during the campaign? He's reminded you a couple of times in a few of his tweets that that's what he wants you to do.
I'll fulfill my duty as Attorney General.
So there you have it. Let's bring in our panel from the Washington Bureau. Charles Hurt, opinion editor for the Washington Times. Shannon Pettypiece, White House correspondent for Bloomberg News. And Byron York, chief political correspondent of the Washington Examiner. Okay, Byron, overall, on balance, the Attorney General up there on Capitol Hill today.
On balance, it was that first clip you showed. It was a 5.5-hour attempt by Democrats to catch Jeff Sessions in a lie about Russia. We heard a lot of questions about the George Papadopoulos affair, the man who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI, was the informal Trump advisor on foreign policy. Heard a lot about that. We heard more about Carter Page, whom Sessions had a very, very cursory encounter with, didn't even remember. And then we heard more about Sessions meeting with the Russian ambassador back during the campaign. And the bottom line was, it didn't really move the ball very far. And if you believed Jeff Sessions going into this hearing, you believe him now. And if you didn't believe him, you don't believe him still. It just really didn't change a lot of opinions.
Shanna, the Attorney General did have, some issues. He obviously was pressed numerous times by Democrats on the various testimonies he's given on this issue, and he pushed back, saying it was not a deliberate effort to evade. But his description on a number of fronts has changed over time.
And his defense has been, listen, you're asking me about a meeting that happened a year ago, 18 months ago. It was a crazy campaign. How am I supposed to remember all of this? But I will say, over the course of these hearings and investigations, I have talked to other witnesses who've testified. I've talked to their lawyers about what goes into preparing for one of these hearings so you don't get caught in a situation where you don't recall something and you make a statement that's misleading or factually incorrect. Typically, people hire a lawyer. They pay them $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to go through every email, every meeting record. The lawyer grills them on who was in the meeting, what happened there. They go through notes, texts, phone records, so something like this doesn't happen. So these meetings that Sessions omitted or forgot, they were public meetings, documented meetings. They were things that he could have known about and had his memory refreshed on before coming before committees previously.
Right. Charlie?
I was just kind of struck by the fact that it was a fascinating 5.5 hours where he really wasn't just taking incoming from Democrats. He was also taking a lot of tough questions from fellow Republicans who were demanding to know, are you going to launch an investigation into the Clintons and into all these other things that I would argue they're probably a whole lot more ripe territory for finding wrongdoing. As far as the questions for the Democrats, questioning about the varying statements, if you go back to the original statements where they're claiming that he misled them or he lied, there were exchanges between Senators Al Franken and Pat Leahy, and those questions were specifically asked in terms of, were you part of this conspiracy to conspire with Russia to rig the election? And each of those questions he answered factually correctly at that time. And so for that, now it's all theatrics. They're just trying to make him look bad and trying to sort of do everything they can to associate the Trump campaign with Russia.
Right. And, well, obviously, in the interim here, we've had the Paul Manafort indictment. We've had the guilty plea from Papadopoulos, and we've had the release of Carter Page's deposition or testimony up on the Hill. Here is soundbite number 2, asked about those two gentlemen.
Asking me today explicitly, did you meet with any other Russians? Today, I am prepared to say I did. I met with the ambassador in my office with at least 2 of my staff, senior respected patriots, colonels retired in the Army,
and Mr. Attorney
nothing
General,
improper occurred at all.
Once and for all, can we answer the question?
I am once and for all answering the question, well, Congressman. I don't understand why you won't take my answer.
Well, we're on the 3rd edition, Mr. Attorney General.
Byron.
Well, he just keeps getting at it, and it keeps coming back, and it goes back, by the way, to that Al Franken exchange that Charlie was talking about during his confirmation hearing. His story, by the way, is that he felt like he was not required to disclose every meeting he had with an ambassador or a foreign official in the normal course of business as a U.S. senator. And he did not actually disclose that. His other explanation is that he didn't completely understand Franken's question, which did wander around a little bit. So his story is not changing all that much.
Yeah. Panel, thank you from Washington. As you can see, the live look inside the hall there. We're getting ready for this town hall. Before we go, though, an update on our good friend and colleague Charles Krauthammer is still on the mend. I've updated you a few times on his condition here on the show and on social media, but I figured you'd like to hear from the source himself. He emailed me today a message for everyone. Quote, "Thanks to all for your cards, letters, and good wishes. I am still recovering from major surgery 12 weeks ago. I have graduated from the ICU to an advanced rehab facility to regain my strength and stamina. It's a longer road than anticipated, but the support of family, friends, and kindly viewers continue to sustain me. In the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back." We've been sorely missing Charles and his sage voice every night on the panel. We are looking forward to you being back soon, Charles, so please get well.